Welcome to Raji's Kid Zone and to Panchatantra stories. Let us see from where we left last week. Victor was trying to convince his friend Cheek, expressing his plan to meet King Rusty. Still, Cheek expressed his worry about Victor's court manners. What did Victor do to convince his friend Cheek? The convincing statements by Victor are also for us to ponder. Just enjoy listening. Victor's statements are very interesting. Victor continued, "Don't worry, my dear friend. I am well aware that one should be modestly dressed while entering the palace of the rulers. And on entry, you should proceed slowly and bow down to the ruler. Your humbleness will immune or protect you from the king's tempers and whims. Not only this, but I am also aware that even the ignorant, ordinary, and unworthy of the honor and office of the ruler, these men win the king's favor by just standing next to him, and others, whomsoever it clings to those people nearest to the king. Don't you know the fact that a good servant can study his master's mood through his face and find out whether he is well or ill? And even if the masters ignore or keep him away, still a good servant will mount his back and make himself his master's dependent. Look, it is only these three, that is, the learned, brave, and he who can get his things to win over, can pluck the earth's golden flower." Even after Victor's convincing points in place and argument, Cheek was not convinced and felt why at all Victor should meddle in king's affair. If the king is not at peace or troubled, let him so be. Why should we meddle in that? Was his point. But Victor was not prepared to give up. What did he do to convince his friend? He started, "My friend, let me try to convince you again of the power and position that can be gained by helping and attending to the needs of one's master, that is, our King Rusty." He started telling poetically, "Win the friendly counselors to the monarch dear, win persuasive speakers, so gain the royal ear. On the undiscerning mob, 'tis not wise to toil. No man reaps a harvest by ploughing barren soil. Serve a king of merit, though friendless, destitute. After some delay, you pluck long enduring fruit. Hate your master, and you will servant's meanest state. Not discerning whom to serve, 'tis yourself you hate. One who seeks the van in fights, in the place of kings, in the city walks behind, is beloved of kings." What is Victor trying to say in the above poetic verses? Friendly, counseling people can reach the proximity of the king. One who is persuasive in their communication can make his master listen to him. It is of no use in toiling to the masses, which is equivalent to ploughing the barren soil. Instead, if you work for someone of merit, even if you are ignored or neglected initially, you reap the fruits of action after some delay. If you hate your master and are not sure to whom you should serve, you end up hating yourself. My dear friend, always remember that one who flatters and executes his action without an expression of doubt wins the king's favor and is loved by him. Did Victor stop here? No, he continued. One more thing to win king's favor is that you should not give any painful reply or laugh aloud in front of him. It is also important that you should behave as if you do not know of an happenings of the king's household and remain silent in the women's quarters. A king will love those who do not seek any favor under any circumstances. He develops a special liking and feels joy about those who hate his enemies and brings pain, and at the same time be friendly to his friend and help them. The other important one to note is that the king loves those who does not disagree with him, who do not blame him, and love those who do not help his enemies behind his back. The king also loves those who fight for him without seeking any reasons. And finally, let me tell you one thing. One becomes beloved of the king when one hates gambling, avoids liquor, and considers others' wives as mere statues. They are most loved by the master. After such a long argument and justification, Cheek seems to be convinced, but still asked Victor, "That's okay. When you come into the king's presence, what do you intend to say? Tell me that first." "Good question," said Victor. "Always answer after the conversation is started by the king. Further conversation and answers will follow as the timely rain ripens the sown seed. A good servant will inform the master of both the good and the bad news and try to help him in the process of decision making in a lighter tone and with a sense of humor. Such a person will earn his livelihood and also a public esteem if the outcome is good. Remember an important thing. A good servant who does not want his master's downfall will advise him uninvited." Cheek replied, "It is all good to hear, my friend, but don't you know it is very hard to please the kings? Snakes which are difficult to catch and handle in many situations yield to charms, and like are the kings. Uneven, rough but high enough, low folks roam, hunted by the wild or the mountains, and the kings are like them. Remember this. Things that scratch and stab are not to be trusted. So also men with arms in their hands, the rivers and the women, of course the kings too." Victor approvingly nodded his head and said, "True, but clever man penetrates his subject's mind, convinces him and captivates him. Just you have to fall at his feet and flatter him when he is angry. Talk and convey to him about all his favors he has done for you. This will help you win his favor. We have to remember an important thing." "What is that?" "We have to be friendly and humble servants of the king when he is powerful and is a man of action. The moment you realize them as a burden, you should be ready to desert them that very moment. Always speak where it is profitable for you." Cheek said, "Okay, Victor, it looks like you have made up your mind to meet the king. Go and seek the feet of the king. But be careful. We wish you all the good wishes to achieve your goal, and let the purpose of your visiting the king yield you good results. Again, to repeat, be careful in the presence of the king. We also want you to be healthy and fortunate." Victor happily made a smart bow to Cheek and said, "I shall, my dear friend," and left the place to meet the King Rusty. Did Victor succeed in meeting King Rusty? Was he successful in his plan? Could Victor succeed in getting the king out from his discomfort after the bellowing of Lively? What happened to Lively? Lots to see in our next session. Bye for now. Stay happy, stay healthy. We'll meet you soon.